Most AI systems today look intelligent on the surface, but under the hood, they behave like long geniuses with no teammates. They reason, they respond, they even use tools. But the moment the problem gets complex, everything collapses because there is no collaboration. Real work doesn't happen in isolation. Software shifts through teams, decisions improve through review, outcomes scale through coordination. That's exactly why agent to agent communication, also known as A2A, is becoming the backbone of serious AI systems. I'm Sam Dev, and this is Inside Assemble AI. Welcome to episode 4 of our season 3.
Hi, I'm Mac Goswami. Today we're talking about the shift from single smart agents to systems of collaborating agents, how they communicate, how they coordinate, and why A2A is the difference between an AI demo and an AI organization. We will break down multi agent workflows, collaboration frameworks, and then get very practical with what an A2A development kit should actually look like if you want to build this in productions. So why A2A is needed now? There will be a lot of complex scenarios like when one agent from another framework can communicate to another agent from a different framework completely or from a different organization completely. So that's one of the reasons that A2A is so important in today's world, today's tech world.
Exactly. And this agent to agent is kind of rising now because single agent systems are hitting their natural limits. One agent can research, write, or summarize. But real world problems don't end there. The moment you introduce multiple steps, trade offs, or quality checks, you either rely on humans constantly or you let agents work together. And once multiple agents exist, communication becomes the hardest problem. Without A2A, agents duplicate work, contradict each other, or silently fail with confidence. Google actually observed these issues, and that's why they came up with this A2A concept last year.
Absolutely. We have seen this repeatedly that people add more and more agents hoping for better results, but instead they create noise. So A2A is not about adding more intelligence. It's about the coordination discipline, and I would call it even it's a collaboration between agent to agent. So just like companies fail without clear communication, agent systems fail without structured collaborations. And Sam, if you remember that, one of our episodes that I brought up this point, like what is new in 2026. So 2026 will be the time like when we will see that, majority of organizations, they will be talking, they will be communicating to each other between agents. So it's agent to agents. It could be for, even for the especially for the any kind of security agencies, a lot of cyber security, especially for the customers care from organization to organizations. So it will be more, we can see in 2026 that agents from one organizations is going to talk to another agent from another organizations. It will be agent to agent communication.
Yeah, you actually brought up a really great point, Mac, because 2026, we will assure the new era in the agentic protocols, and A2A will definitely be at the forefront of that. Now, let's just break it down what A2A actually is. No hive for our listeners. So, at its core, A2A communication is the structured exchange of intent, context, and outcome between agents. So, it's not like just a chatbot, or it's not even like prompt passing. It's like agents are talking to each other. A few agents are assigning tasks, reporting status, validating results. On the other side, some other agents are escalating conflicts and handling work off. So think about it in this way that in your organization, you have multiple departments and each department kind of working in siloed in terms of building. Now, at some point of time, as a part of your company vision, you would like those agents to talk to each other. So how do you achieve that? That's where agent to agent, this A2A protocol comes into the picture.
Yeah, and absolutely, Mac. And I think that distinction matters because human like conversation is optional. Reliable coordination is mandatory. So A2A defines how agents know what they are responsible for, what done means, who reviews their work, and what happens when something breaks. So without those rules, you don't have a system. you have parallel chaos, right? I mean, different enterprise level, like I would see is that it's a kind of a layer. It's actually a top layer, like where all information first actually get filtered out through the agents. Then it will come to the next tier. And then let's say if someone is already like who will be in the support, he or she can easily identify, like this has already been, this information is coming through my agent and is already filtered out. So now I know that the first layer of filtration is already done. Now I have the relevant information. So irrelevant portions, they can already be filtered out by this agent from one, and it'll be so good that like enterprise level, that A2A agents, and that can save so much of time and so much of human error as well.
I mean, I think you are kind of bringing a very valid point here, Mac. And because at the end of the day, if an organization wants to scale up their multi agent workflows, how are they going to do that? Because they often underestimate how intentional workflows need to be. And for now, I think we typically see four parents workflow in practice. The first is a supervisor worker model, where one agent decomposes the problem and others execute specific tasks. We also see some sort of like a sequential pipeline where output from one agent becomes validated input for the next. Third one, some sort of a parallel collaboration where multiple agents work simultaneously on subtasks and results are merged. And finally, the fourth one is the debate and verification, where one agent proposes, another one challenges, and the third arbitrates. That's how they're going to get better, by challenging each other. So these are the four patterns we would see in terms of implementing A2A workflow in any organization or AI pipeline.
So, and the key insight here is that, Sam, that A2A is what hold these patterns together. So without explicit communication rules, even the best workflow design collapses under ambiguity. So we also need to make sure that all the patterns, all the options that we just talked about, these are needs extreme level of verification, validations, and the right infrastructure at the same time. So we need to have that communication based rules so that it will not fail. And that's why we are going to talk about our next segment, that collaboration frameworks, like what they help with and what they don't.
Yeah, let's just talk about the collaboration part, that how all these agents gonna talk to each other under that A2A protocol and umbrella. Like frameworks like crew style systems or graph-based orchestrator help teams get started by providing roles, routing, retries, and some sort of memory handling. They reduce the boilerplate and give structure. But frameworks don't magically solve collaboration, right?
Absolutely. The frameworks that, what we talked about give us the skeleton, but A2A is the nervous system. So without the nervous system, frameworks can even collapse, right? So you still have to have the design. So you still have to have the message schemas. You still have to have the escalation rules. You still have to have the review checkpoints and the governance boundaries. So without those, the frameworks just automate the confusion faster.
That's correct. Now, let's dive into the development kit, because I think our listeners are now interested that, okay, you talked about A2A, seems very fascinating, but how I'm going to build it, right? And for that, there is a, solution for that. There's something called A2A Development Kit, which Google actually launched. And for our listeners, we'll definitely share A2A Development Kit options or informations in the podcast description. So please go check it out. And also just you know, disclaimer is that we are talking about all this A2N stuff totally based on our viewpoints. Mac and myself, we are technologists, data scientists, and AI engineers, and we have, checked a lot of solutions. I would also encourage you to check our Assemble AI LinkedIn group to see what are the other stuff that we have done so far. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, if you like this podcast episode, don't forget to give us some ratings. Now, come back to the A2A development kit. So let's get concrete. If someone asked us, what do I need to build A2A systems correctly? I would say that you need an A2A development kit, not just a framework. That kit starts with a clear agent identities and roles. Each agent must know what it can do what it cannot do. So you really have to have a segregation of roles among themselves. Next, you need a structured message schema, not free from text. That message should clearly state intent, task ID, artifacts produced, confidence level. So think about it that way, that each agent would need some sort of a metadata, and the structured message schema will define that. You will also need a shared task state, a single source of truth for where work stands. And without shared state, it's going to be difficult for agents that how they're going to collaborate with each other. So you definitely need some sort of a communication to bridge the gap between agents. What do you think about that, Mac? And what else do we need to develop this kind of A2A using the development kit?
Yeah, absolutely, Sam. I mean, you have correctly explained everything that about the A2A development kit. Absolutely, that we need the clear agent identities along with the role, structured message schema, shared task state. But at the same time, that we also need to be mindful about the hard parts as well, like handoff protocols, conflict resolution, safety guards. Agents must know when the work is acceptable and when to reject it, when to
Correct.
escalate either to another agent or to a human. Now, finally, observability is non-negotiable, and if you can't trace what each agent did and why you cannot trust the system, A2A system must be auditable by default. So it's not, I mean, it's just a one or the another. It's more about to have the complete structure. So in A2A development kit, at the same time that we also need the agent identities, structures, messaging, the messaging stuff, and at the same time, we also need to define those protocols as well and the conflict resolution.
And that's totally correct. And I do want to emphasize on the fact that at the end of the day, A2A is an actionable protocol. Okay, it's going to help you to kind of build something and communicate internally within your AI agent ecosystem. Now, let's ground this with a real example. Imagine a product team using agents to ship a new feature. There's a planner agent breaks down requirements. There's a front end and back end agent work in parallel. There's a QA agent validates behavior. And there's also a security agent checks compliance, as well as a release agent that takes care of the deployment. So think about this like so many different agents working with each other, collaborating. And this each step isn't just a conversation, it's a contractual handoff. Like for example, all these agents kind of showing their human level intellect to make sure that there's an operation process goes smoothly. Tasks move forward only when acceptance criteria are met. And that's where we need to have some human in the loop moment where a human worker would actually making sure those acceptance criteria are getting fulfilled when one agent hand off a task to another one. Disagreements could trigger review loops, and that's also going to get flagged to a human worker as well, who is oversighting those A2A. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure that those A2A actions are getting logged. So anyway, if things go south, a human can always pull the plug off.
Yeah, completely agree with that, Sam. So when we are explaining the A2A in action, we have to make sure the front end and the back end agent works in parallel, right? I mean, we can consider is, like asynchronous development structure. We have multiple nodes or multiple data objects, like they can, like work in parallel. So same like for the QA agent, like validates behavior rate. And so the only thing is that there is a difference like between AI helps sometimes and AI operates like so uh, A2A turns agents into a participants in a workflow. It's not just responders to prompts. So we need to make sure we need to understand the difference like between AI helps sometimes and AI operates like a team. So these two are different things.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really valid point for our listeners to keep in mind when they will start building A2A protocols in their organizations. Now, I wanted to pivot to some other, one thing that I would like to kind of enlighten our listeners that where A2A fits into Assembly AI's vision. So I would say that this is deeply aligned with what we're building at Assembly AI. Module merging, compatibility resolution, code validation. These are not like just single step problems. they require negotiation, inspection, validation, and arbitrations across multiple perspectives. And that's where we need agents in each and every section where they can coordinate using the A2A protocols and get something to fruition and make sure that our assemble AI products or what we're building or we're envisioning will come to fruition at some point of time in future. What do you
Yeah.
think about Mac?
Absolutely. And I love this conversation because you also brought up the A2A with the assembly's vision as well, long-term vision. And I completely resonate with that because module merging, compatibility resolutions, code conversion, code validations, like these are definitely, it's not a single step problems. So our previous discussions with MCPs. So similarly with that one, like when we are code converting, it means like we might be even able to take that code from some other tool completely, and then we are converting the tools to another tool. We are also merging the tools, and this is the one particular tool is coming from one tool, and another particular source code is coming from another tool, right? So and eventually to integrate them, it's definitely not a simple task, and it's not even a single step problems, right? So that requires a lot of individual steps, and then and a combination of steps. And so that's why assembly AI strength comes from the agents collaborating to integrate complexity away from the user. And A2A will be the mechanism like that makes that possible at scale.
Yep, well said, Mac. I hope listeners got some sort of a sneak peek of what we are trying to achieve over here. Now, let's move on to the risk element section because there's always some sort of a risk associated with it, especially when you're dealing with AI. Now, this agent to agent protocol introduces new failure modes, coordination overhead, circular delegation, false consensus, and runaway cost. So these systems definitely need circuit breakers. And again, most importantly, these systems will require human oversight. So you should not forget that.
Yeah. Um, Absolutely. And then what also means that limits on retries and message budgets and escalation rules and human in loop checkpoints, all this stuff. And again, like multi-agent system don't remove responsibility, they just redistribute it. And I still believe that we also need human intervention as well. Like we cannot simply let that all the agents run, and we don't look after the what they're doing exactly. So we also need to monitor them. We also need to trigger them. So today we have explored a lot of things. A2A, agent to agent communications, why multi-agent workflows are becoming unavoidable, how collaboration frameworks help but don't replace design, why an A2A development is essential for building systems you can trust. So for me, the real takeaway is this: the future of AI is not one super agent. It's well coordinated agent teams. It's same like a winning team. So it's a winning team of super agents, right? And the coordination is an engineering problem. It's not a prompt. So I see a lot of people, like we still have the mindset like AI means only prompt, but AI is not only just prompt. If we deep dive further, in the granular level, it is way bigger than only the prompt. And if this episode sparked ideas for your own workflows, operations, compliance, or integration, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us, share your thoughts, keep the conversation going. Please subscribe to our Assembly podcast on Apple Podcast, on Spotify. Please also subscribe to our Assembly newsletter. If you want to find the newsletter link, it will be on this podcast descriptions as well, and it also be both me and Sam's LinkedIn bio. Sam, do you want to add any last minute thought?
What I'm going to say that 2026 will be a fascinating year for AI. There are a lot of things will go on. And from the Assemble AI's perspective, we will try to give you an insight about all the things going on in the AI world. We've already started with our season 3. This is our episode 4. I would highly encourage you to listen to all our episodes either on YouTube channel or Apple Podcast or Spotify, as we're going to unravel more AI agentic concept such as MCP, agent to agent protocols, or even some AI toolkits that you would like to explore but never had a chance to find some insights around it, please listen to us. And also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, reach out to Mac and Sam on LinkedIn. Would love to know your AI thought processes, or also would love to spark some, initiate some discussions around what your AI visions are. So that's all from my end. Over to you, Mac, to wrap up the session.
Yeah, and also to all our listeners, please share all this episode to your network as well. Until next time, keep building systems, not just models. Thank you.
Thank you.